Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for joining in. Just a quick friendly reminder, everyone's going to be muted due to the attendance size of this meeting. And if you have any questions, feel free to use the QA section on the left side. We're going to do our best to answer these questions during the presentation. We have our support team member, Austin, here, and we're also going to follow up later if needed. We're going to also record this session and post it on our YouTube channel later on. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about us. If we go to the next slide there, we're going to talk a little bit about the agenda, but my name is Ryan. I'm a key accounts manager with MeasureSquare, and I've been with the company for over 4 years now, working closely with some of our largest clients. You're going to often find me presenting at trade shows and webinars, and sometimes on the side of the street, just giving out product demos. I'm joined here today with James. He's my co-presenter, and James, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey guys, my name is James. Some people refer to me as JI within MeasureSquare, but I have a construction background. I did work in the field for years. I've been an estimator. I spent plenty of hours in MeasureSquare making estimates, so I can definitely understand your guys' side of the table on that end. And hopefully, between Ryan and myself, we could help improve your customer experience just a little bit through this webinar.
Perfect. Thank you, James. And we'll just go over the agenda real quick, guys. In this webinar, we're going to be giving you a short slideshow presentation, around 6 slides, really to set the stage to discuss how we can improve your process with our MeasureSquare commercial software. And then we're going to jump into a live demo of the software and leave some time for Q&A at the end. With that all said, let's go ahead and jump into our presentation. So welcome everyone to our special webinar on Beyond Basics, harnessing the full power of MeasureSquare 8. And as the title says, the main purpose of this presentation is to explore some topics that aren't usually covered in our beginner tutorials. And while we'll be focusing more on the estimating side of things, project managers and office admins should also find valuable insights with our presentation. And as a lot of you already know, MeasureSquare, we've been in the flooring industry for over 20 years. We work with thousands of flooring companies, from big commercial teams to smaller residential mom and pop shops, and everything in between. We really work with companies across the US and even internationally in Canada, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, albeit to say we have a lot of experience with working with estimators of all levels. And we're both excited to have this webinar with you. So with that, let's hop right into our presentation, and James is going to start us off with our first topic.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. So before we get into specific features here, I'd like to talk a little bit about a common issue that many flooring companies face, and that's maintaining an effective estimating process. This takes a significant amount of time and effort, and when you finally finish training and you implement your Takeoff software, there's immediately pressure to begin completing those live projects as soon as possible. And as you guys know, once that train starts moving, it's pretty hard to stop. It's tough to find time to pause and reflect. Even if you did manage to create an optimized estimating process when you started with MeasureSquare, that perfection isn't always possible. Continuous improvements in technology, industry shifts, and unforeseen variables make a perfect process very hard to maintain. New enhancements are constantly being presented, and it's tough to gauge whether a change is actually worth adopting. If you guys have ever gone through the headache of switching Takeoff software, you already know where I'm coming from here. That is a huge pain, and the pressure never stops. While having the best software and using it correctly is crucial, everyone knows that the most important thing is to keep getting those bids out the door. With this in mind, I'd like to present a few options that'll help your team keep up with new changes from MeasureSquare, focusing on how you can leverage our tools and invest in updates that'll help your team's process at the highest levels of efficiency. All software applications are constantly improving, and as many of you know, MeasureSquare 8 Commercial is known for its consistent improvements. New features are incredibly useful, but with the hustle and bustle of daily tasks, it's easy to overlook them. Taking just a few minutes to read our release notes over a cup of coffee can help ensure that your team stays informed about changes that could enhance your estimating process. This small investment of time can lead to significant savings in both time and money for your company. Release notes are available through your MeasureSquare 8 application and also at cloud.measuresquare.com/release history. So on the right side here, you guys can see an example of some of our release notes. Our team's very good at putting those out and describing everything clearly. So you can access those through your MeasureSquare 8 And doing that will definitely give you a leg up. Recently, we've also been creating videos which cover the new features that are added during each release. You can find these on our YouTube channel for a quick overview. And if you have any more specific questions about new features, our support team's always available to provide the latest info. Achieving and maintaining optimal efficiency can be challenging, especially in the fast-paced environment that you're all working in. Often, identifying opportunities for improvement takes time in itself, and that's time that your team doesn't have considering their other daily responsibilities. If your team's bogged down by repetitive tasks, it's a sign there's probably a more efficient way to get the job done within MeasureSquare. This is why we have a dedicated support team here to help. Our team will work with you to identify these improvement opportunities and suggest alternative methods to streamline your processes. This can free up your team's time for more strategic and impactful work. For example, instead of recreating add-on structures for each project or manually calculating accessory products like adhesives or weld rod outside of MeasureSquare 8, there are more efficient, more automated ways to handle these kinds of tasks. And with the addition of new features like OCR, even typing in your product descriptions is a process that can be improved upon. So we're going to cover each of these opportunities and more later on during our live demo. Lastly, you can always schedule quarterly or yearly team meetings to assess your workflow and help you guys stay on top of it.
Perfect. And James, if I could jump in here, another thing to add, asking for feedback between coworkers or employees can, help teams discover new features and processes within MeasureSquare software. Guys, sharing is caring, right? And along these lines, the next 3 slides we're going to give is going to be a high-level overview and share some of our key features that our power users take advantage of that will help you achieve that maximum productivity, as James was mentioning. So first off, let's start off with the cloud. Benefits of our MeasureSquare Cloud system is it can help you boost your efficiency. It comes included with your subscription. And really the biggest difference I find with newer users versus our power users is our power users, they take full advantage of all the tools that come with their subscription. They use all parts of the buffalo, right? And they're able to save themselves headache and streamline their ability to share projects within their team with their clients and installers using our free cloud viewer. They also have options in the cloud system to share directly through our, internal team collaboration tools, being able to share material catalogs, projects, and also they can sleep easier at night knowing that our cloud system's backed up by Microsoft's Azure cloud. So we back up all your MeasureSquare projects and catalogs. Companies like Walmart, General Electric, and Intel trust Microsoft Azure cloud system, and by extension, trust MeasureSquare. We also offer generous amounts of storage space, allowing you guys for thousands of saved projects within our cloud system, included in your subscription. We also have in the live demo that we're going to be touching on some things we'd like to show you with our personalizing settings for the MeasureSquare Takeoffs. This will help you streamline your area drawings, material calculations, and proposal presentations. Think of these tailored settings as part of your company's calling card. The way you format your print settings and just adjust your general settings can significantly improve the impact of your proposals and help you close more bids. Some examples of how we've helped users boost efficiency and speed is through hotkeys. Hotkeys, put simply, allow you for quicker access to your most used MeasureSquare tool set and is a game changer for improving your speed at drawing out rooms. Other ways to improve efficiency we'll get into is how we can optimize your defaults for calculating things like carpet, vinyl, tile defaults for ceramic, LVT, and even carpet tile. We can also isolate your estimations either by room, by tab, or by phasing and show you how you can really nail down on your reporting. We can also show you guys visual improvements like your drawing line thicknesses, your color customizing options, and simple adjustments in your print settings like adding a logo will be a great value add to your presentation. And then, lastly, we'll go over all the MeasureSquare 8 Takeoff tools. Our customers all have a wide range of needs when it comes to completing a project. And part of the reason for this webinar is to spark interest and help you guys dive deeper. Because we find with our power users utilizing all our best practices, they can increase their efficiency by anywhere and up to 25%, and even more in some cases. So Some of the tools that will help with that are our newer features like optical character recognition, or OCR. James mentioned that earlier. It's a form of text reading software. It is in beta, but it's a great example of the vision that we have for the future and future MeasureSquare updates. James is definitely going to hit on that in detail in the demo. But some other tools that you may not have known about include some templating for elevations for like sinks, tubs, showers, cabinets, countertops. We'll also dive into walls and ceilings for you guys who work with tile or paneling on the walls. We're also going to dive into some things more on the organizational side, some stamp, count items, saving room and elevation templates, and even bookmarking and tab management to help you easily navigate and organize your projects. And I just got to say here, even after all these years, I'm still blown away by how our development team is always pushing to make our software better. And with that, that's going to wrap up our slideshow presentation. We're going to now jump into a live demo and show you everything we've just discussed in action. So we're going to go ahead, James, and switch it up. Perfect. And here we have an example project opened up for you guys. And we're going to start off with the cloud. So we have our cloud tab close to the top left corner there. If you click on that, it'll take you to your cloud account. And on your cloud account, you'll see all the projects you have synced onto your cloud, and it comes included with your license. You can open this also on any web browser. You don't have to use our software to have this opened up. And here you can share projects pretty quickly with the team. If you go to that action section on the far right of any project, you have the ability to share this via email with anyone on your team. Just go ahead and either type it out. You can also choose if they can edit that project and even leave some additional notes if necessary. So this is really designed to help you improve your team collaboration ability and overall efficiency. We also offer a free 3D viewer. Under the 3D viewer section, you can click on the view options or view settings button, pick and choose what items you want to show for either a client or an installer, and then you can just go ahead and send that out. It's going to be web-based, so they don't need to have MeasureSquare downloaded. They can just open this up also on any web browser. Perfect. And you'll see there's a 3D image there. We can also change it to 2D as well. Under our viewing options on the left side, we have a drop-down. You can select the 2D view. And then if we click on a room, it'll give us a breakdown of all the materials if we have that, if we have the quantity showing, and give us a nice little high-level overview of that project. That's a small taste of our cloud system. Now let's go ahead and shift gears into the Takeoff screen. So we're going to go ahead and close out of here, go to the Takeoff tab, and we're going to show you how we can adjust some settings. So in your Takeoff screen, on the top ribbon, there should be a gear icon right above the Takeoff tab on this screen here. To click on that, it's going to take you to our system settings. We have some simple settings that you're probably familiar with, measurements and takeoff. But as a quick example, for the takeoff, we can also adjust things like wall height, wall thicknesses, and set them in the beginning to save you some time down the road if there's a wall height or wall thickness that you're running into more often. We also have ways to do visual improvements. So if you go to your drawing style tab, you'll have the ability to adjust basically any of the visual elements of the software. I like to, as an example, change my line thicknesses for linear product. My eyesight is not the greatest, so when I can, I usually adjust the thickness to be as thick as possible and to be pretty bold. That way, when I'm on my project, it really pops out and it's easy to find. As you can see here in this example, the red linear item around the perimeter of the room is nice and visible. And if you hover your mouse over that room, it should also give you details of the product. So that way you can make sure that you have everything set up the way you want. And now for efficiency, right? Let's go back to our settings. We're going to go to our hotkeys. Hotkeys are going to be a huge game changer for you guys. So if you go to the hotkeys tab, it'll show you all the different features and tools that we have available, and you can assign a key or a keyboard stroke to that tool. And we want to make it really easy to utilize, so it's going to unlock a whole new level of efficiency. And as James is going to demonstrate here, with these shortcuts, you can really streamline how you get your estimations done. And James has set himself up to be really as efficient as possible. He's using just quick keys. He's not going to do an extra mouse click by going up to the top ribbon to click on the tool. He's just using the tools he's already preset. And just like that, finish the project in no time. And it may not seem like much to move your cursor from, the takeoff to the top ribbon, but think of this, over the course of many projects, that's hours and hours of time saved in the long run. All right, I think I've done enough talking for now. I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to James to take a little bit more of a focus on our takeoff features.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ryan. This is the part I really like. Excited to get into this a bit with you guys. First thing I'm going to jump into is one of the big ones, OCR. Many of you guys are probably familiar with this. We released some content on this, and if you'd like more information, check out our YouTube channel. But just to give you a quick overview, OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And what that does is when you import a file into MeasureSquare, the system is actually going to recognize any instances of text that appear on that import. So what this does is it allows you to use this text in a bunch of ways. My favorite by far is going to be with product descriptions. So earlier I mentioned if you type in your product descriptions, that's a process that can be improved upon. This is how you improve upon it right here. You do not have to type this stuff in anymore, guys. You could simply select that product description from your finish schedule, copy that, and then go right into the appropriate item. And then all you're going to do is paste that right in there and you're done. So, you guys can imagine on a small project like this, a dozen products, this could save you 5 or 10 minutes, depending how fast you type. On a big project, if you have dozens of products or 100 products, this is a major, major time saver. You're talking about 45 minutes, an hour or more that you could save in some cases. So, you'd simply go item to item. I don't know if those of you that have 2 screens, you can pop that product window onto your other screen and just simply go through item by item. Okay, here's my ceramic tile product. I'm going to copy this description, paste it right into my item. What else do we need here? Looks like some rubber base. I'm going to copy that description, paste it right into my rubber base item. And that process really takes no time and no effort at all using the OCR feature. OCR can do a lot more as well. So since it can search all the text on the plans, it can search the plans for any of these letters that you're looking at here. So if you go into your room view on that right-hand panel, you can type in any text you'd like. For example, I'm typing in CG where they have these corner guards marked, and it'll actually show me all the instances that the letter CG appear on my plans. You can double click and it'll bring you right to that instance. So, if you're ever looking for a certain identifier on the plan that you can't find, or even just a certain word, you can simply type that into your room view and the system will do that work for you and tell you exactly which page that's on and where that identifier is. There's a couple more things that OCR can do. I'm not going to cover them all right now, but if you're interested in more, we have more on our YouTube channel, or feel free to reach out to us anytime. You'll have Ryan and my emails at the end of this presentation. All right, so to get into some of the more classic MeasureSquare tools, I want to start with the elevations. So elevations essentially, as you guys know, they bring your diagram essentially from the 2D space to the 3D space. They allow you to bring surfaces up or recess, but there's some off-brand uses for elevations that are pretty cool too. So I have in this example here, I made a nice toilet. You even got a toilet seat on there. And, it just adds to your presentation a little bit to use elevations this way. I've made really nice bathtubs before as well. In this case, I've just put a little block for a wall-mounted sink. I use an elevation as a mirror, so you can enhance this presentation for your customers, really impress them using the elevation tool, things like TVs as well. And you could really make this stuff look pretty nice. So the elevation tool got a big upgrade recently. I'd just like to mention to you guys while we're here. So this is the classic example of an elevation. When you create an elevation, essentially it removes the flooring underneath. But since our recent update, you actually have control over that now. So if I select this elevation here, there's a couple new options over in our property panel called deduct ground and deduct walls. So if I uncheck this deduct ground box, that's going to allow the system to put material under that elevation. So if you have a floating desk or flooring before the millwork, something like that, you can always use this deduct ground tool to maintain your elevation and also get your quantities correct. Similarly, deduct walls does the same thing. You know, if this is a floating desk, we would want base behind it, right? But as you can see, this base is not going behind that elevation right now. I can just uncheck that box, and there we go. The base is going to go right behind that elevation as needed. So a pretty significant update there to the elevation. Hopefully you guys could find some use out of that over the course of your next few jobs. Beyond that, I'd like to just take a quick look at stairs. So estimating stairs is really tough. MeasureSquare 8 actually really does a great job of this. And those of you who've tried this in other softwares know how terrible it can be. But, you know, essentially the process is pretty simple within MeasureSquare 8, right? You're going to create a staircase, add a landing, add a staircase, and that's kind of the workflow. And all of this can be edited through your property panel. So once you create a staircase, you can click on it and actually edit all the properties very easily just from this panel over here. So that's pretty good. And you know, you have a decent 2D representation of the stairs here. But if you have a multi-floor staircase, it's hard to really visualize that this way. So actually, if you keep creating that staircase, it doesn't look like that it's gonna create multiple floors. It kind of stops creating after you put a few of these on here. So now I have a U-shaped staircase. If I had another stairwell here, it kind of snaps in, but it disappears as well. The system actually is still tracking that staircase. You just can't see it in the 2D view. So if I click on this one I pre-made here and go to view 3D, I actually have a full staircase here. You know, and if you have stair treads or products on here, it'd be represented really well. So this is a cool, like off-brand visual that'll be pretty useful to your clients in some cases. Just a cool little thing on the side there. Next, I would like to take you guys through our estimating breakdown. So Ryan mentioned before, there's a lot of different ways to estimate, right? So we have this estimate section in the top middle here, and by default, each project is going to be estimated by project. So that means, you know, every single product, every quantity that is on this project is going to be estimated in one quote, right? So you do have the ability to break that down a little further. And I've gotten a lot of questions about this recently, so I wanted to mention it. So we can estimate by project. Yes, that's going to be the default. So if I go up here to my estimate section, click this little arrow and go to estimate by, you can see project is selected by default, but we can also estimate by tab or by phase. So if I decide to estimate by tab here, system's going to want to reset my cuts. But essentially now we are estimating tab by tab. So these quantities now, instead of telling me what quantities are on the entire project, it's just telling me what's on this tab. So if I were to switch to another tab here, looks like this one has no products on it. You could see. So now this tab has no products. It's being estimated by tab. So our quantities are 0 in this case. Then essentially, once you get over to your worksheet, you have the ability to break that down by tab since you estimated by tab. So if your customer needs a breakdown of separate floors, separate unit type, something like that, where you have these designations on separate tabs, you can use the estimate by feature to break those numbers down for you effortlessly. Similarly, if you guys are familiar with the phasing tool, essentially you can right click on any area and create a phase, assign as many areas as you'd like to that phase. And just like you can estimate by tab, you can also estimate by phase. So here in this example, I made 3 phases, just a few products in each. But just like the tab view, just like estimating by tab, sorry, if we go over to the worksheet, the system will automatically break it down phase by phase with those custom designated areas that you created. So just a couple cool ways to kind of break down your information a little better for your clients when needed. With that, I'm going to let Ryan take you through some of our other estimating features. If you're ready, Mr. Ryan.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, James. So I want to talk a little bit about walls because I think it's really cool and a really great feature to showcase. So if you click on a room that has some wall detail and go to your 3D view, you'll be able to see, you know, how much of a boost in presentation the MeasureSquare 3D viewer can really be. It gives you the full breakdown. You know, it shows here an example of a bathroom. We can also do things like make the image more photorealistic for tile. But, you know, we also have here a shower niche, benches, a curb there. Oh, perfect. Thank you, James. So, you know, you have a lot of detail you can add in. You may also have noticed those lines there. We can add things like bullnose, Schluter, wall base even. You know, we have a lot of different options for us within the MeasureSquare program, and we can make it look really great doing so. We can also work with other types of products here. We have options for sheetrock, drywall. We even work with companies beyond just flooring and tiling, like paint, windows, blinds, even things like AMC paneling or exterior cladding as well. So, we really got you covered. And in this 3D view, if you go to the options section up top, you can even showcase things like underlayment product as well, or labels and other items. So you can make this as detailed and really nail down as much items you want to show visually as possible. Thank you, James. We'll go ahead and exit out of here, and then we'll go to the 2D view of that room just to show you how we can add product to the walls. So if you click on any room, you have the option to click on the view wall section. When you do that, it'll show all the walls of every individual room. You can see how we also added dividing lines on individual walls. If you right click on a wall, it'll give you all of your tools quickly and easily nested in a simple right click. That way you have full access to it. You can even adjust, yeah, exactly, dividing line just like that, and even quickly add some product to it. If you want, you can also click on individual walls. This is a really cool trick. If you're just wanting to focus on like the shower section, for example, if you just click on that individual wall segment, you'll just see that wall segment, making it a lot more easy to focus on that individual wall. And then lastly, a really cool thing you can do with not only the walls, you can also add ceiling detail. So if you right click on this room, you'll be able to access all of your room editing options as you would normally. Go to room edit, and then go to create ceiling. James already had a ceiling created, so we're all good to go here. And then once you have that ceiling created and turned on, if you click on that room and go to your 3D view, you'll be able to turn on that ceiling. This is great for people who work with like acoustic ceiling tile. And you may notice there's also that block there. We can add elevations to our ceiling. So for like soffits, we can also add perimeter product for like crown molding as well. And basically make it a mirror of the floor and as much detail to the ceiling as we need to. And we also have a way to add this as a template. Now, James touched upon the elevation templates, which is very similar. So if you save this room as a template, some of our power users run into the same general bathroom and shape or design over and over again, and redrawing a room over and over again, it's never fun, right? So our users make templates, and templates can be, pretty general room with some general products, and then you can just drag and drop that room into a project, resize it using our, tools to adjust the walls. You can even, reassign or redraw walls as needed as well, and then replace the material. And this allows you for faster room creation if you're running into the same type of room over and over again. We also have ways to change your tile templates. As you can see here, James is just adding the details that are necessary for this bathroom, but you could have switched over even different tile patterns, which we have a full pattern library available to you guys. You can even design your own from scratch. So we make it really easy to, get that custom tile in there when needed. And you can even do things for wood patterns as well, for like herringbone and other custom designs. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, James. You can show them some other useful tips and tools for managing and organizing the project.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. So I do want to talk about organization a bit. This April update that we put out really helps with organizing your plans, and especially with large plan sets. So now on the right side, we have this new view called Tab View. We also upgraded this little arrow at the bottom here to kind of show all your thumbnails for your pages. So a lot of upgrades here. But what I want to show you guys today is the bookmarking feature. So in those cases where you have a huge set of plans, 50, 75, 100 pages, it really gets to be a pain to kind of manage all those pages and identify the ones that you need to use. So now we allow you to actually bookmark pages. So you can just select several pages that you need, out of your 100 page set of plans, maybe you need 15 of those pages. You can just bookmark those and click this button up at the top, and it's going to hide all of your non-bookmarked pages. So that's really going to simplify things for you guys. And of course, those pages will still be there and accessible just by the click of a button there. Also, I wanted to mention something with our count items. So this is a semi-recent update within the last year or two here. So typically when you apply a count item, you can drag it onto your plan. It's going to give you that nice little dot indicator. You can automatically attach those to corners and stuff like that. That's a great indicator and a good way to do it. But we've enhanced that now. So you can actually apply a stamp to your count products. And this is going to be useful in a bunch of ways. The example I have for you guys today is with window treatments. You know, if you're estimating blinds as a count item, you can do it just as you would normally, but instead of just putting a dot on the plan, it'll actually put your custom inserted image on as your count item designator. So this is great for things like window treatments, windows, doors, all kinds of things I see our customers using this for. Really has a lot of applications and gives you an ability to enhance that presentation even more for your clients. The next thing I want to talk about briefly is my favorite by far, which is add-ons. So those of you who do not use add-ons, I'd highly recommend considering it. Essentially, add-ons are your accessory products, right? And these products are going to be applied when you add your parent product, your main flooring product, to your space. So for example, if we use a sheet vinyl product here, I can add this sheet vinyl to my room. It's going to obviously calculate my sheet vinyl, but in addition, in this case, it's going to calculate everything I need. Cove cap, cove former, double-sided tape, all that stuff is based on the perimeter of the room. Weld rod and weld rod labor are getting estimated based on the seam length of the room. So all that is going to be configured right in your product window in this bottom add-on section. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now. We have a lot of resources on this. And if you have any questions on how to use add-ons, please contact our support team. The most common reason I hear for people not building out their product database is because you don't want to keep up with it, right? You don't want to put in 1,000 items just to have to change their prices in 6 months. So we always recommend creating generic item templates up here, like a product called sheet vinyl, right? It's not Mannington BioSpec 6'6" sheet vinyl. It's not a specific product. This is a general product that's going to be used on many, many projects. So you're going to add that into your project, and then you could add in those specifics once you get to your product items within the project. All right, so that's all I have for add-ons. Definitely feel free to message me, send me an email directly on that stuff. I love going through add-ons with everybody. And the last thing we're going to do here is we have a finished project. So we are going to print up a report. And I am going to get into our print menu and hand it back off to Mr. Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, James. So for our print report, as you guys are all probably already aware of, we have a lot of printer settings and details. Think of this print report summary, though, as your calling card. It's a way to customize and tailor it to your business. A simple example of that is just adding a company logo. You can see here on our summary report, we have a giant MeasureSquare logo. You can go ahead and add yours, add a tagline, really make it your own. Things like that really boost the presentation we find with our clients. And you also have other details you may not have been aware of. You can see on this report specifically, there's a QR code right there on the top right corner. You can actually add that to your reporting if you have your project synced up into our cloud. So if it's up on the cloud, you can go to printers and settings. Under miscellaneous, there's a tab right next to options called miscellaneous. Click on the checkbox where it says show advanced header. That will add the QR code or remove it if you don't want it to the report as long as you have it on the cloud. And this also adds a great level of interaction with your client because they can scan it and then see that free 3D viewer that we showed you at the beginning. And they can really, take a good look at the project from all three dimensions, or tapping or clicking on different rooms to make sure everything looks, up to their standard. And once you're ready here, you can also, edit certain details about the summary report as well. A quick example I like to give is just for walls. So in our summary report, if you scroll down to the wall section, sometimes it'll be truncated like it is here. If you want to give your walls a lot of space between them in your reporting page, you can go back to your printers and settings, go to the diagram section under options, and then go to room detail and auto width. This checkbox here, if you have it deselected, will make it so that every wall gets a lot of breathing room when it comes to the print report. So depending on the project, you might want to change this. And fitting more walls on a page versus having each box really breathe, that's going to be up to your company and how you want to present to your final client. And just small improvements like these guys can really make a huge difference with your bid presentations. So we just wanted to share a few examples to help jumpstart your journey into MeasureSquare mastery and help you win more bids. With that, I think we covered it all. We're going to go back into our slides here for some final Q&A. And James, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I haven't had a chance to check out these questions here. Let's see. Please show the new door jam product feature that was on one of the slides at the beginning. Okay, yeah, we can do that quick. Let me get a door going here. Essentially, yes. So who was that? Christopher Rocket. Good point here. This is another one of our new features that Chris is bringing up. So we added a lot of functionality with doors where you can actually add linear products to these doors, right to the door frame. Things like molding around the doors would, is a great example. You can also apply area products to the actual inside jamb of the doorway. So for example, let's just put some nice carpet tile on our jamb. Everybody knows how often that happens. But you could kind of see here, and if I make the wall a little thicker, it would be better. But you could actually apply material to that inner surface now, in addition to being able to apply linear product to the frame of the door. So yeah, we have some cool new features there. Good point, Chris. Appreciate you bringing that up.
And real quick, James, I saw a question here. How do you input a niche for showers, I'm assuming? Yeah, let's go ahead and just show them that real quick. If you go into a wall, go onto a wall rather, you can go ahead and draw an elevation on the wall, and then we have options under our elevation tools under the property view to have it be recessed into the wall. So there's a checkbox like James is showing right there. If you click on that, it's going to have it go into the wall a few inches or whatever default you set up. And now if you go back into that room with that shower niche, you can add some product not only into the the indent, but you can also add to the edges as well, and it'll showcase that on the 3D view and on your wall profile.
Yeah, so to get the edges, you're just going to have to select view wall and actually click on that elevation. And then you can go ahead and apply your linear products as needed. Typically, you'll need some kind of Schluter in these corners, right? Here we go. Let's use this one here. So you can apply those around your elevation pretty easily, and then just select the edges you need to kind of complete that niche with the full estimates. I've had to, in the past in the field, I had to put Schluter dialects. So you need those specific corners for each. This is my inside corner. This is my outside corner. You can apply all that stuff pretty easily using the elevation tool and in conjunction with the view walls.
Awesome. And James, go ahead and show them the shower curb as well, because that kind of fits nicely with what we were talking about in the shower section.
Sure. So essentially, if you have a shower, let's call this section on the right our shower here. That's going to be the elevation tool as well. So here's our shower. I'm going to just draw an elevation for the entrance of this. Typically, these are going to be 4 inches, something like that. So I'm going to draw my elevation. So that's the first step. But when you go in here, you're going to notice this is way too high of a curb, right? That's more like a half wall. So you're just going to want to go in and edit the height of that elevation as well. And it's going to be a similar process where you select that elevation, then that'll let you view the actual walls of the elevation, apply products to those, and then you're going to have your finished curb there.
Perfect. And if I could jump in, James, similarly, this is going to be the same process for a bench. You can imagine, a bench in a shower. It's an elevation. You just change the dimensions. Instead of having it be smaller, have it be wider or larger, or you can even add that elevation onto the wall if it's like a floating seat, just like that. Yeah, it could be as easy as that, adding some product on top and onto the sides, and then you've created your shower bench.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and a floating bench, like Ryan said, you're going to have to make that elevation on the wall itself. So, you're going to make that, and then you're also going to have to always be cognizant of this wall height. So maybe this is a 16-inch bench, something like that. And the same thing, you select that elevation, you're going to have your side walls of the elevation that also need material. And and that will give you your floating bench there.
Perfect. Thank you, James. And I guess since there's another question here about how to measure a countertop and a backsplash, since we're already in tile mode, let's just knock that out. For countertops specifically, you can create it with an elevation tool, similarly how we did with that bench, draw that out. And then for backsplashes, you'll have to edit the wall. You can, use the divider tool on the wall, which James will show in a little bit here, to add a backsplash in the exact section that you want.
Yes, so I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Chuck, by measuring the counter. But yes, so like Ryan said, the counter is going to be an elevation, and then the backsplash you can place on the wall. So if I go and view my wall here, looks like wall number 1 is where I want that backsplash. You could see my elevation represented right here. So you can use a couple wall stacks. Let's see, one here, 18-inch backsplash. So you use your wall stacks to kind of divide that up a little bit, and then you can apply your backsplash tile as needed. Now, going to need some trim on those outer edges, of course. Oh, excuse me. So we can place some trim there, and then that's going to give us our semi-realistic backsplash estimate.
And just to add to that, James, Chuck, for measuring countertops, that might be if it's on the blueprint, you can always measure it using some dimension line tools that we have. Or if you're not sure, we could always use a reference point, because you can set your scale and then reset your scale as needed for each project.
So Scott Dicker asked a great question. Can you calculate length of total tile seams, similar to sheet vinyl weld, but for tile format? So yes, Scott, you can. Essentially, if you apply a tile product, you can go into that tile pattern, edit the pattern here. Nope, sorry. View modify details. And you can select a grout product. So this is kind of counterintuitive, but it's a great feature. Instead of adding an actual grout product here, you can select a linear item. So if I select weld rod or whatever linear item you'd like, it's actually going to measure the linear distance of those seams, of those tile seams, and give you the product quantity accordingly. So great question. That's an off-brand use. Honestly, Scott, I wish I thought of that when we were making this webinar. That really is a great point, and it's a perfect thing to bring up here. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Can you review the stair stacking for several floors? Yes, Miss Carla. So it's essentially, it's just the same as building a staircase. If you've ever built a staircase, it's simply staircase, landing, staircase, landing, right? So this is kind of where the 2D version of this stops. So if I look at this in 3D, simple U-shaped staircase, but we can keep adding on this. It's just not going to be reflected on the 2D image. It's impossible to reflect it on the 2D image. So I can keep adding stuff here. I can just look, I'm adding a stairway. When I mouse over this staircase, it's going to snap right in there. I'll click. Could do the same thing with the landing again. Click, staircase, click, landing, click, staircase, click. And each of those is actually being added. Even though we can't see it in 2D, it's still adding it in 3D. Good question, Carla. Thank you for that.
I think I have another question from Carla also.
Yep.
Is MeasureSquare considering integrating artificial intelligence into its platform? So kind of like what we spoke about at the beginning, we are integrating certain aspects of AI technology into our software. It's hard to say when a huge breakthrough like artificial intelligence will, come to fruition, but we are keeping our ear to the ground. And anytime a new development does come out, we are doing all our best to get that into our system. We actually hired a few new developers specifically focused on AI development. And James, if you want to kind of quickly talk on the OCR again, just any other details you want to add there. Yeah, we're definitely keeping our ear to the ground with that.
Yeah, OCR is great. I think we gave a pretty good rundown of it. We also have the AI auto takeoff feature. So let's see here. So we do have this auto takeoff feature that we've been working on for a while. We've recently hired some AI specialists who are enhancing this a lot. And I think we have an update coming out pretty soon for our beta users that's going to provide that enhancement. But if I have a fresh plan here, I can right click that plan and go to auto takeoff. The system's going to try to draw the plan for me. So this is heavily dependent on the architect, on how they draw their walls, on how much clutter is on this plan. So it's gonna vary how well it's gonna work. Some plans it works very well. Some plans it doesn't work as well. But in this case, this using it would actually save you some time on this particular plan. So you can see it's not perfect. Looks like when I set my wall thickness earlier, that messed us up a little bit. So you'd want to predetermine your wall thickness and set that in your settings before doing this. But if I did use the correct wall thickness, there would have only been a couple mistakes here, it looks like, where this would actually save you a few minutes of drawing. So that's
I just want to add a huge asterisk to that as well. Like James said, you want to double, triple check and make sure, because sometimes, like shown there, sometimes the walls overlap. So we are working on it. It is getting better, but definitely would recommend drawing it out to make sure you can be as accurate as possible. Yeah, go ahead, James. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem at all. I was just answering a question in chat here, but I'll just, Mr. Miguel asking about cube floors. If you don't mind, contact our support team about that, Mr. Miguel. It's just that won't apply to everybody, but I'd love to talk to you about it if you don't mind reaching out. Valentino, hey, Mr. Valentino, hope you're doing well. Said grout add affects the net area and we can't use it. Is there another way? So no, that's going to be the only way to calculate those linear products for the tile. But it shouldn't affect your net area if you have this grout width at 0. If I'm incorrect on that, please let me know. But I think as long as this is set at 0, it shouldn't affect your quantities. Yes, Melissa, this recording will be emailed to you. If you have any trouble finding that, or if you need it, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll have that available probably tomorrow. Miss Carla, how do you show quantities per room on plan view and print? Show quantities per room on plan view and print. So essentially, you can go into the room view, Carla, and this will give you a breakdown of the net areas of each room. I'm not sure what you mean by print, but this will give you access to that information right here. Using hardwood.
See, I have a question. How does MeasureSquare send estimate information to Q floors? I think, Miguel, we're going to have to send you a follow-up on that specifically. We do have an open API. I think there was another question that mentioned API and partnerships. So we are, we play nice with everyone. Basically, we integrate. Our integration partners include Q floors, CompuFloors, Broadloom, and CF Data, also known as Structure. So we have a lot of people we work with, and all that information can be found on our integrations page. That'll probably break it down in a lot of detail. We can send that out to you guys when we get the chance.
Chris Churchill, not a question, but I really like your point there, saying that, yeah, you can change the thickness of the lines in CAD to make it easier for the auto takeoff to be accurate. That's definitely a good point. So cool to bring up. If you have that ability, that would definitely help in some cases. Scott Dickert, can you print a shop drawing that only shows base locations without making the flooring colors all transparent? A shop drawing that only shows base locations. So let me see here. I think you can just turn off area products without making the flooring colors all transparent. Let me try something here. So no. No, that's a good question. I guess you can't do that. Sorry about that, Scott. All right, let's see what else we got here. Is there a way to have the add-on directly associated with the products it is an add-on for? Mr. Jared Seeloff. Yes, so that's what an add-on is, essentially. And we have plenty of documentation on this, but the idea is you can create a product. The main product should be, an actual flooring type. In most cases, you can also use labor as a main product now. And then the idea is that's exactly what you do. You're going to have an add-on associated directly with this main product. So this bottom section of the product window here is your add-on section. If I click this box on the right, I can choose add-ons to add to this main product I just created. So let's add a couple of these here. And then once I save, that's exactly what's happening. So these products are now associated with this main product. And if I go to apply that main product to any area, those add-ons will come right along with it. Anything new for proposal forms? Miss Carla, again, yes, good question. So the worksheet, we actually enhanced a bit on this last update as well. So if I'm creating a proposal now, we have a different style by product and add-on. So this directly relates to what we're just talking to with the add-ons. But if I create this worksheet, and this is already how I have these broken down here. So now it'll actually group these out by item assembly. So let's just use this top one as an example. I have this VCT item, and that's going to have VCT. It's also going to have the add-ons, VCT adhesive and labor associated with it. So this is a new feature where you can actually group these by their item assemblies with the main product, and all these are going to be directly grouped on your worksheet. Can you send us your catalog? Yes, Carla, good point. I forgot to mention that. So this is a test catalog that I've been making. I send this to people all the time, and if you would like this, please send me an email after the webinar. I will post my email in the Q&A right now.
Perfect. We have a question from Steve. Could you show the copy and paste feature again? That should be pretty quick, James, when you get the chance.
Copy and paste. Yes. So Steve, I don't know if you're familiar with Windows hotkeys. That's definitely the fastest way to do it if you're interested, but we do have this very easily accessible. If I click any item, I can go right to the top right here and click copy. And then we also have a paste button here as well. Is it possible to add material to multiple locations or areas simultaneously? Mr. Antonio. So I think technically you can select a bunch of areas and then select a product up here. Nope, totally led you astray there. Maybe the answer to that one is no. I apologize, Antonio. Let's see. How does it show linear instead of square feet or gallon? Valentino. So it depends on the item. You're going to need a linear item and not a grout product. So if you use a grout product, it's going to be in square feet or gallons. If you use a linear item, it'll be in linear feet. Scrolling up to some earlier questions here. Austin, if you have any good questions that we should address on the voice, let me know. Can you estimate stair runners with a reveal? Stair runners with a reveal. I'm not sure on the application of the reveal there, Dan, if you can elaborate just a little bit. Let's see what else we got here. How do you input a niche? We went through that. All right, so I think we're pretty good. If you guys don't mind, if you have a question that's important to you that we haven't answered, just resend it. It's just kind of hard to keep track with all the questions. I definitely don't mind answering a couple more. Valentino, yes. So I'm sorry, I didn't explain that too well. It can't be a grout type product. So it has to be a linear type. Even though it's going into the grout slot, we allow you to bring linear items in here. So you have to pre-create a linear item, not a grout item, and then you can apply it this way. Is the phases feature only available in a multi-unit version of MS? That's a great question. I think it only is available in our top version, which is MeasureSquare 8 commercial.
Yeah, it's only available in the commercial version of MeasureSquare.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Valentino. Yeah, I knew there was a way to do it. So if you, okay, so you need to select the rooms and then drag the product in. There it is. Perfect. Appreciate that. So I think that was Antonio earlier. I don't know if you saw that. Just one more time, Antonio. If you select multiple rooms, you can drag a product right in and it'll apply to all of those rooms. Yeah, Chris, we have a bunch of integrations. It's just we're trying to address stuff that's going to kind of apply to everyone. So integrations are a bit more specific. Feel free to contact us about with that question. I'd love to talk to you about it.
And James, I don't know if you answered this one, but this was on add-ons, which I know you love. So throwing it to you. Is there a way to have add-ons directly associated with the products it's an add-on for?
Yes. So I did answer that one, but yes, that's exactly what add-ons do, guys. Making something an add-on is directly associating it with that main product. So that is literally the concept of add-ons in a nutshell. One other thing I recommend doing, guys, if you have a lot of add-ons going, I like making an add-ons folder. So, this is my product list here, just a few products, and I added a couple ones since we started, so it made it a little messier. But if I didn't have this add-ons folder, my product list would look like this. That's more than doubles my items. So this is something that I personally use to kind of just clean things up on your product list. And just a little tip if you're interested. Carla, so there's no way to show quantities in a room without hovering over the room. No, sorry, I didn't express that well enough before. You can go to your room view, and essentially this is going to list out all the rooms. If you want to see the quantities of a specific product, you go up top to this menu, select product. Let's see how much ceramic tile we have, and it's going to tell you the quantities of that ceramic tile in each of these rooms. If you want to see all of the products within a room, you can just open up that room. It'll give you a breakdown of each of those.
Awesome. And guys, I just want to remind everyone, quick reminder, we're going to be sending all these, answering all your questions down in a follow-up, as well as sending you a recording of this demonstration. And yeah, I love all the questions, guys. It's great. I think we do need to start wrapping it up, though. James, is there any other questions that you had that you wanted to answer real quick?
Yeah. So Marcus is asking about butterfly coving. So yes, we did recently add a feature that helps with this. So let's see here. How can I show this? No, I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm not going to be able to display this right now. It's a very new thing that I haven't used much. But right now, our system does account for the material of butterfly coving by default. We have this option in the roll estimation butterfly self cove. That's going to definitely account for the flooring product. Now the weld rod is another story. So we still need to use a separate item to calculate the weld rod on your outside corners. And the best way to do that is to create a count item, apply it to your parent product on the corners. And essentially you can make that just a weld rod corner, equate that item to your 1 or 2 feet of weld rod, whatever you'd like for each corner. And you can work that out a little manually on the purchasing side.
All right. I think we're coming up on noon, at least at Pacific time. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We appreciate you guys all for coming in. We're going to tackle all the questions that we didn't get to and send you guys out a message directly, as well as send you guys the recording of this video. Appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.